Lauren Brasher, and this is my informative speech. Here's my CAG student ID. Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my informative speech is on the Middle Eastern culture and how that applies in Western medicine. So the term Middle Easterner refers to a group of people from multiple different countries, although they are often grouped together by health professionals of the Western world. The total number of Muslims in the United States is estimated to be between 6 to 7 million. American healthcare providers and Middle Eastern immigrants often have a strained relationship due to misunderstandings of cultural norms. These misunderstandings can be diminished by understanding Middle Eastern beliefs and practices. This speech will explain beliefs and practices of Middle Easterners that healthcare providers need to be aware of to give them respectable and quality healthcare. So, one way that Western society is different from Eastern society is in our beliefs and practices in terms of illness and dying. So relaying bad news to a Middle Eastern patient is a very sensitive subject. It must be done gradually and carefully. When a patient receives a terminal diagnosis, it is important for the health professional not to discuss it with them again. It is also common for the patient's family to interfere and choose not to share a terminal diagnosis with the patient at all, so that the patient has to maintain a high level of hope. Many Muslims are hesitant to sign a DNR because it is viewed as being disrespectful to Allah to give up hope. Usually, the leader of the family will determine when it is appropriate to invite a religious official to visit the patient. Many Muslims will opt out of organ donation and autopsies because of the Muslim custom that the body should be buried intact and rapidly after death. Before burial, the body is washed, perfumed, and clothed in white garments. It is common for Middle Easterners to wait until the last possible moment to seek help for any illness, both mental and physical. This often leads to the illness being very advanced by the time they meet with a healthcare provider. Middle Easterner diets consist of teas and fresh foods to prevent illnesses. They also avoid eating hot and cold foods together because they are believed to be incompatible. Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset during the month of Ramadan to purify their bodies. Some Muslims believe that pain is Allah's will and should not be treated with pain relievers. Many rely on other forms of therapy besides medication, such as acupuncture. Most Muslims do not seek counseling for mental illness because their custom is to receive help from members of their own family. Middle Easterners may sometimes use exorcism techniques to rid the person of evil spirits. We also differ in our communication needs. Arabic men only shake hands with the right hand because their hand is to be used for clean purposes only. Women do not shake hands at all. Middle Easterners are more inclined to use touch frequently as a method of communication. It is also common for them to stand closer when having conversations than other cultures. Most Middle Eastern people are not comfortable with direct eye contact with the opposite sex. This can be interpreted as inappropriate. Before trust is gained, Middle Easterners tend to only provide their health professional with vague symptoms. It is common for a consultation with a Middle Eastern patient to take much more time than other consultations because trust must be established before a Middle Eastern patient freely shares personal information. The family of the patient is always present to ensure they are receiving the best care possible. The extreme involvement of the family can certainly be an obstacle for the patient's health professional, but is meant to show the patient how much they care for them. Once trust is gained, relationship is constant. Once they find a healthcare provider they trust, they will often continue to contact them if possible and value the relationship they've built with them. Women may be very vocal during their grieving. Family members are not allowed to grieve until the patient has died so that the patient never loses hope. All acquaintances are expected to attend the services for the individual, not just close family and friends. Muslims are known to have many funeral services, and services are held multiple times for the deceased individual, even on 1 year anniversary of their death. The final way that we differ in culture is our comparison of beliefs. The primary religion of most Middle Eastern countries is Islam. Most Muslims do not believe in the use of contraceptives because everything happens according to God's will. Middle Easterners do not make plans even for childbirth because they believe everything will happen to according to God's will. Evil eye is seen to be a social cause of illness due to having negative feelings or thoughts towards another individual. It is common for Muslim people to view God and birth defects as tests of their faith. Muslims believe illness is sent by God as punishment for their sins. The main religion of the Western Hemisphere is Christianity. Majority of Americans believe planning ahead and always being on time are important characteristics. Unlike Middle Eastern immigrants, American hospitals mostly put their faith in medicine, not religion, to heal the sick. Working with Middle Easterners gives health professionals the enriching opportunity to experience another culture and the significance of close extended family and relationships. The Middle Eastern culture is very complex and interesting. Although many of their practices are different than the average Americans, their family involvement and determination of hope are relatable and respectable.